Lacrimosa is coming with NTE version 1.1, and yes, there's a lot to love about this character. She's not a simple DPS where you can just press ultimate and instantly delete everything, and instead her damage comes from applying nightmare stacks, using chaos reactions, staying on field long enough to keep her damage going, and then using her strongest attacks at the right moment. So today we'll be going over how Lacrimosa works, how to build her, what teams she'll want, how much investment she actually needs, and whether she looks worth pulling for on your account. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed or learned something from today's video. And now a word from today's sponsor, Enjoy GM. If you're planning to top up in Neverness Everness, new users get an extra 8% coupon after registering. Enjoy GM offers discounted Rift Crystals with up to 22% off first-time purchases depending on your region. With this, after stacking Enjoy GM's discount with the 8% coupon, the 6,480 Rift Crystal package can, for example, drop to around 78 USD. Actual prices again will vary depending on your region, but the process is pretty simple. First, bind an email to your NTE account in-game, then on Enjoy GM, enter that same in-game email, the password used only for top-up verification, and select your server. Now, to be clear, the information will only be used for the recharge process and is not stored, and as usual, if you're worried about safety, you can always change your password immediately after the top-up is completed. Enjoy GM is also PCI DSS certified and has many Trustpilot reviews, but check the link in the description and join their official Discord for extra discounts, giveaways, and updates. Now let's get back to Lacrimosa. Now, Lacrimosa is an S-rank Chaos DPS. Her main mechanic is called Nightmare. When she deals Chaos damage, she applies Nightmare stacks to enemies, and these stacks deal damage over time, and they can stack multiple times on the same enemy. The other important feature is Discord. Since Lacrimosa is a Chaos character, she helps enable Discord reactions, which is something that most players haven't been able to use that much because Chaos characters in general are pretty limited. The basic idea though is pretty straightforward. Apply Nightmare, break the enemy, trigger Discord, and then use Lacrimosa's stronger attacks while the enemy is vulnerable. Outside of combat though, Lacrimosa also has other useful features. She can transform and fly around the city, which helps with exploration, even if it's not technically the fastest movement option, but she also has life skills for city content, including cafe-related bonuses and extra rewards from Pink Paw's heist. Now let's go over her skills more directly. Lacrimosa's kit in general is focused on dealing chaos damage, as we mentioned earlier, but again, most of her attacks help to apply Nightmare, so the more often that she hits, the faster she builds up this damage over time. That said, Lacrimosa also has two technically different attack styles. One is more close range, while the other is more long range. The long range mode is definitely easier to use because the targeting is smoother, while the close range mode can definitely feel slower if the enemies are moving around a lot. That said, her ultimate deals strong AoE damage and helps spread the dots to multiple enemies, but this helps especially in fights where enemies are very high health or live long, which of course is what will mostly help with Beyond the Rails and more boss-like enemies. One of her more unique mechanics is also her ability to copy certain enemies though. Unfortunately though, you shouldn't expect to copy some insane move for any of these abilities, as some copied abilities are more simple and not every single enemy can be copied in general. Now moving on to passives, hers are also pretty important. One of them make her deal more damage when she triggers Discord on a broken enemy, and that's why breaking an enemy is so important for Lacrimosa specifically, and then triggering Discord after, as we mentioned earlier. As for skill priority, the safest order will be upgrading her ultimate first, then her skill, then her basic attack, and then her support skill, but to be clear, her ultimate and skill are the most important parts of her damage as a whole. However, her basic attack still matters because it does help build Nightmare stacks. Now let's move on to how to actually play her. Now, to be clear, Lacrimosa is definitely a character who wants to stay on field. With this, at the start of a fight, your goal should be to build Nightmare stacks as quickly as possible. Use her attacks and skills to apply stacks before using all of your strongest options, but once the enemy is close to being broken, use your other characters to help break them. From this point, you can then swap back to Lacrimosa, trigger Discord, and use her strongest attacks while the enemy is vulnerable. So the basic rotation will look like the following: build Nightmare, break the enemy with either her or her allies, use her strongest abilities, whether that's her skill or ultimate, and then repeat. Now, as a reminder, timing does matter a lot here, and if Nightmare falls off, or if you use her big damage before the enemy is ready, you do actually lose a lot of value. Now let's move into Lacrimosa's builds. For Cartridges, Lacrimosa's best set currently looks like it'll be Diabolos. This set gives her chaos damage and chaos resistance ignore, which of course makes sense given her typing. For main stats, you'll ideally want chaos damage, attack, and crit rate, and for substats, you'll be looking for crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. Stat-wise though, a good early goal is to look for around 60 to 70 crit rate before stacking too much crit damage, but as for arcs, her signature, the Last Rose, is obviously made perfect for her. It helps her chaos damage, nightmare damage, and Discord playstyle, and so if you want Lacrimosa to be one of your longer term main damage dealers, her signature is definitely a worthwhile and very strong upgrade. That said, for most players, getting Lacrimosa herself matters more than getting her arc, especially with all the free S-class arcs that you get just from exploring and doing other content. And with this, if you're free to play or low spending, one copy of the character is definitely your first priority, and you can always settle for a more general Chaos DPS arc if you want to, including something like Youthful Fantasy. Beyond this, and despite the performance difference that you'll receive from it, using something like Fluff of Fleetness, or even shiny days will work too, but these are definitely a step down compared to the alternatives. Now let's move to Awakenings. At base, Lacrimosa is already very strong. She can apply Nightmare again and function as your main DPS with little worry. However, the most interesting and important awakening that Lacrimosa has is actually with her A6. This helps her trigger reactions more easily, and it does also make her much smoother in Discord teams. Now, this also gives her better long-term value, and with this, even if stronger DPS characters are released later, being able to help trigger Discord reactions can still help make Lacrimosa useful in future Chaos teams. Team-wise, Lacrimosa wants allies who can help her break enemies, trigger Discord, buff her damage, or help her keep alive while she stays on field. As a result, a current strong team would include characters like Daffodil, Sakiri, and Fadia. Daffodil helps with Chaos and Discord, and Sakiri helps with grouping enemies and giving them more team value. Fadia also gives healing, which is useful because Lacrimosa wants to stay active for longer instead of swapping out constantly, and this kind of team should also work especially in boss fights where Lacrimosa has enough time again to build Nightmare and repeat her rotation. If your account already has been well invested into 1.0 characters though, you could also use Lacrimosa with characters like Nonali, Mint, and then a healer or support like Adler or Fadia. The main thing to avoid here though is to avoid putting her with too many characters who also need a lot of field time. If another DPS is constantly taking her place, Lacrimosa of course loses uptime, and then what's the point of having her? Now in terms of quality of life and account value, Lacrimosa does also bring some useful things besides combat. Her movement ability of course lets her fly around the city, which helps with exploration, but to be clear, this does use stamina, and it's not necessarily faster than other movement options, though it is still unique and honestly pretty cool looking. Her life skills are also worth mentioning. She has cafe related bonuses, which helps with fawn and shop economy, and she can also improve Pink Paw's heist rewards, increasing both Pink Paw coins and fawns once the life skill is leveled. But now we should actually address the pull value of Lacrimosa in general. In my opinion, if you don't already have a strong main DPS yet, she looks like a very good option. She gives you a Chaos DPS, helps open up Discord teams, and should also be useful for a long time if you invest into her properly. Additionally, if you already have strong DPS characters like Nonali or Hattori built, the decision also depends more on your account. Lacrimosa can also still be useful as a second damage dealer for endgame content, especially when you need multiple teams, but if your current teams already clear everything and you're saving for version 1.2, you don't have to force yourself to pull for her. For most free-to-play players, I would probably look at it like this though. Pull one copy if you need a DPS or really like her, and stop there if you're saving. To add to this, you could also wait for an upcoming live stream to see what sort of endgame that's actually added to NTE, but as usual, you can also consider extra copies if you specifically want to invest into Chaos and Discord teams. And regarding her signature arc, it's definitely good, but definitely not more important than getting the character first. With this guys, Lacrimosa is looking like a very strong DPS, but she needs proper setup, which can definitely feel a bit limiting. She's not the sort of character where you can instantly press one button and everything happens, as again, she wants field time, is more dot based, wants good teammates, and a clean, pretty straightforward rotation. For teams, she wants Discord support, break support, and enough healing or protection to keep her active, but with this, build around her, let her stay on field, and her damage should feel much better. Thanks again for watching though guys. I personally will be pulling for Lacrimosa, and I'm excited for 1.1, but I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, good luck with your pulls.